Welcome back, everyone, to round two of our incredible Motzei Shabbos marathon, learning two vast dafim of Agadita Gemara in Perek Chelik, a famous parak in Shas, and doing so with 30 Zoomers now. I didn't want to do it earlier, although it appeared to be discourteous of me, but I wanted to get started that people shouldn't say, how am I going to get through all of this Gemara? But since now we're already halfway there, I could welcome in Irving Fishbaum and Yisrael Fisher and Eddie Chazan. Eddie, we're delighted that you heard good news and going back home. Not that we're happy to see you leave, but we're happy that you should go home. And Eddie, I wish you could get a flight even earlier.
Thank you, Rav.
Still try, Eddie. Still try to get back.
We've got our sales meetings this week coming up, so I can't.
Yeah. Okay. We welcome in Yaakov Warman, Ben Sion Cohn, Saba, Dr. Block, Michal, Barry Cement, Mel Zachter. I'm not sure who that is. Stephen Holtzman, A.B. Spry, Marshall Castle, Shelley Zeitlin. I know people are not putting their camera on them. I can't see that. Maybe that's Nachman Chapler, and Yitzi Fuchs, Gedalia Engel, Menachem Yemansky. No, that's Nachman. Yitzi Muller, Naftali Jablin, Ilya Shutton, Richard Rosenzweig, Yeshua Shmuel, Eisenberg, Abe Arbach, Chaim Braun, David Helfgott is joining us. Somebody is sitting there with a chair in a paneled room, but I can't see who it is. There's Itchy, very good. It's interesting. I have a memory I'll share with the Eilam. Many years ago, Ruvain Pollack is not here, but many years ago, this is 6 cycles ago. So that's a long time ago. And I was giving shir in Mr. Fuhrer's house. So Mel will remember those days when the shul was in the basement of Mr. Fuhrer's house. Irving remembers that as well. This is before ArtScroll. The only English translation I had was the Sansino. And I would come in and say two blot. And as you could see, there's an extraordinary amount of difficult psukim from Navi. And I would pronounce some of the words wrong. And people one person in particular called me out that as a Rav, you can't pronounce a pasuk wrong. So, it was a little bit short-sighted of him to think that, in those days I was probably just 30. And even today, I wouldn't be able to pronounce all these psukim on my own the right way. So what I did is I got a Steinsaltz Gemara, and I read it from the Steinsaltz Gemara. So this way, I would be able to. But at that time, there were people that were very against the Steinsaltz Gemara. So I'll never forget there was a wedding that my shul attended, and I used to give daf yomi at the wedding. Right after the chuppah, I would give the daf. So I had the Steinsaltz Gemara with me, and some zealot grabbed the Steinsaltz away from me and yelled, "Aser!" and walked away with it. I never saw it again. So we said that there's such a thing as good kanayas and falsche kanayis. So that's an example, just a memory I have from years ago. We're talking about, many decades ago. An early memory of learning chelik with the rabbin.
Is he the one who couldn't read the ksuba clearly?
It wasn't you, Marshall, so I will just clear your name.
Rabbi Weiss, can I give you a name? It's my grandmother's yahrzeit today.
100%.
Finkel Bas Rav Menachem Mendel Zeder.
So today we're learning Lili Nishmas Finkel Bas Menachem Mendel Zeder. Neshama should have an aliyah. I'd also like to say that the protection that we get for ourselves and our family for learning so much Gemara and starting the week with learning is just absolutely unbelievable. I'm very sorry that we seem to be missing again Mark. I'm sorry that Mark isn't here. I know Aaron said he wasn't feeling well, so he should have a refuah shalema. And Mark, I'm sure you're listening to this, so you should know that you're missed. So the Gemara tells us, me dummy, when you say that Nebuchadnezzar is a lion, Hasam Ari, it says, Ola Arye Mesuchai, Sufchai, Hacha Layish. Here he's referred to as a Layish. Says the Gemara, that's also a name for a lion. Am Reb Yechanan, Shisha Shemis Yesh Ari, a lion has 6 names, Eluhain, Ari, Kfir, Lavi, Layish, Shachal, and Shachatz. Those are all names of a lion. Says the Gemara, but then we interpreted 3 names, so then it wasn't 10 stops, it was 9 stops. Iachi Batzru, 1 stop is missing. Avru Mabara, Avru and Mabara, Tarteininu. It's not passing through Mabara, but Avru and Mabara are 10 stops. Now, the Gemara says that there was a terrible retribution hanging over Klal Yisrael and the Davidic dynasty because of the fate of Noiv Ira Kehanim. Noiv Ira Kehanim was destroyed because Doeg said that they were aiding and abetting David HaMelech. So, my Oid Hayoim B'Noiv Lamoid, there is yet a day of Noiv standing. That day was left, it was the last day before the statute of limitations for the punishment of what happened in Noiv. Amalei Kaldoi, the soothsayer said, if you go against Yerushalayim today, Yachlislei. V'ilai, but if not, Lo Yachlislei. And he had a kfitzas haderech to reach there in time. These 10 stops should have taken 10 days. But Saga Bechad, he reached it in 1 day. Kimatalu Yerushalayim, when he reached Yerushalayim, he wanted to see what this, he never saw this, Yerushalayim was talked about throughout the world, the city of Yerushalayim. So Kimatul Yerushalayim Shadulei Bistake, he let them pile carpets one on top of another Ad Salak V'Yasvei Mi Ilvei Shura, until he was able to go and look over the walls. Ad Chazia L'Kula Yerushalayim, until he saw the whole Yerushalayim. Kichazia, when he saw it, he wasn't impressed. Kichazia izuter be'einei, it looked small in his eyes. Amar, he said derisively, it's a s, derisively. He said disparagingly, Amala Allah dai karta Yerushalayim. This is the city of Yerushalayim. Da Allah agishis kol mashu yosi, that I excited all of my troops, wa Allah kfashis komadinta, and to reach it I conquered all the countries. Hello, he's a era of a chalasha. It's small, it's weak. I don't even see an army. It's much smaller and weaker. Mikol karchei amamaya de kfashis b'skayf yadei, from all the mighty cities that I destroyed with my might. Allah, he got up, he picked himself up, and he waved his head at it with mocking. He waved his hand back and forth on the mountain of the Beis Hamikdash of Tzion, and the courtyards. Imre, nishte beyada idna. So they said, let's go on the attack now. Amalu Tmahisu, you're tired. Lamacher Aisili, Kol Chad V'Chad Minaychu Gulme. Each one, we have so many people, each one of you will pull a brick out of the wall and Harig Minay, and we'll kill them. Oh boy. He lost his opportunity. Baruch Hashem. He lost his opportunity. Miyad Vayhi Balaylahu. It was on that night. Vayetze Malach Hashem, we'll see it's Gabriel. Vayach b'machana Ashur, and smote in the camp of Ashur. Meo Shmeinim v'chamishim Aleph, 185,000 people. Vayashkimu b'bayker, they got up in the morning. Kulam pegarim mesim, and they saw corpses all around them. 185,000. Amra Papa, Hainu de Imre Inche Bos Dina. If you delay justice, batal dina, justice is cancelled. So Baruch Hashem, he lost his opportunity. Now, the Maisa is David HaMelech was also held as some culpability for putting the city of Noiv Irak Kehanim into danger. And it tells us that, remember, David killed Goliath. Goliath had a brother, also a giant, called Yishbi B'Noiv, who swore vengeance against David. The Yishbi B'Noiv, Asher B'Yelidei Harapa. Yishbi B'Noiv was one of the children of Arpa. Remember Rus and Arpa? It was one of the children of Arpa. Now, he was such a mighty warrior that Umishkal Kenai, the weight of the blade of his spear, not the spear, the blade of the spear, was Shleisha Meyes Mishkan Lechoshes, the weight of 300 copper. V'hu Chager Chadashe, he was wearing a fresh coat of mail. Vayomer Lahaka, he says David, and he announced that his aim was to kill David. My v'yishbi v'naiv. What's kind of a name is Yishbi v'naiv? So now we know. Amrav Yudam Arav Ish Shabal Iskei Naiv. He was a man to wreak punishment on David for his involvement in the sorry massacre of Noiv Irakayana. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu David. Hashem gave David a choice. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu David. Ad masa yia ovain zet tamen biyadcha. How long is this sin going to be hidden in your hand? Your involvement with Noiv. Al yadcha nerga Noiv Irakanim. Through you, Noiv Irakanim was destroyed. Val yadcha nitra daig adayim. Because of you, Daig lost his olam haba. Val yadcha nerag Shaul shloishes banav. And through you in this galgal of the dvarim, that Shaul and his 3 sons died. Ritzaincha yichlu zaracha. I'll give you a choice. Either your descendants should cease, which would have been the end of Malchus Beis David and Melech Mashiach, Oy timaser biyad oyev, or you should be delivered in the hands of your enemy. Which one do you want? So Amalafanav, so David HaMelech, Eizah Chacham Araya Sanaylet, Amalafanav, Rebbeinu Shalayim Mutav Emaser biyad oyev. It's better that I should be given in the hands of the enemy, v'lo yichle zari. and that my descendants shouldn't be lost. This is what would a Zayda do for his descendants?
Rabbi,
Yeah.
why is he responsible for dying? Dying was a wicked person who had a vendetta against him.
Well, we have to be very careful in life in causing jealousy. So perhaps, I don't know the details, but perhaps David HaMelech made Doeg jealous. The whole idea of ayin hara. Why should somebody get an ayin hara? Because people are envious of them. It seems to be that we're held responsible to try not to cause people to be envious. So that's one supposition. It's one supposition. I didn't make a bracha yet, did I? Anybody remember?
Last time you did you?
Did I make a bracha on water already?
I didn't hear it.
You? Berish, did you hear me?
Yes, you made a bracha.
I did make a
You
bracha.
did the
You
last
did make one,
section, the
yes.
last.
I did make, okay, thank you.
I thought you did. I hope that's right, sir.
Abi, what would I do without you? Abi, I still didn't write the shtar yet for the chametz. It's more complicated now because it's Erev Pesach, it's on Shabbos, so I'm still doing a little bit more research, but I'll let you know as soon as I do. You're on my...
I thought I was going to be able to come to you tomorrow, but I just heard that my tenant passed away, a young man, Dr. Rubin. I don't know. I don't have his last name, his father's name. So
You're not talking about Fink, are you?
no, Dr. Rubin is an oral surgeon.
I'm sorry to hear that. That was a terrible thing that happened with Rabbi Fink, 43 years old, died on an accident in the Garden State. I hear he got out of the car. It's a big lesson. He got out of the car and then he was struck by one car and he was thrown into ongoing traffic and he was struck by some more cars. It's really a horrible thing. Anyway, I also just saw after Shabbos that there was a big accident on the 17 up in the Catskills, and they closed the 17 between 112 and 113, which is a very Jewish area even nowadays. But if it was on Shabbos, I think that's okay. I mean, then probably wasn't Yidden, but anyway, we should all be protected. So the Gemara says now the story with David HaMelech and Yishbi B'nai. Yom Echad, one day, Nafik Lishbar Bazoi. One day, David HaMelech went out, and there's a very big shaila, Lishkar Bazoi. There's a very big, these words are, etymology of these words are extremely strange. So the Aruch says that these aren't Hebrew words. The Aruch says they're Persian words, and it means that he went hunting, which is very interesting because we know they asked the Noda B'Yehuda, a very wealthy man, had an enormous estate, and he had acres and acres of land and forest land, and he asked, and he asked, Yitzi, is that one blot or two blot? Two blot. 2,494 words. So tonight we're getting 2,494 mitzvahs. So, I mean, I don't know what you could have done. You could have gone out for ice cream, or you could have gone for pizza, but you're getting 2,494 mitzvahs. Right? It says Michal Avram, without calories. 2,494 mitzvahs without calories.
I got my pizza too. I'm happy.
Yeah. So we got 2,494 mitzvahs, and we put up with Marshall. So I mean, that's mamish. It's like It's
Let's quadruple that.
yeah, it's really amazing. So anyway, so I was telling you that the night of Yehuda, this man asked the night of Yehuda if it was all right to go hunting on his own estate. And the Night of Yehuda said that hunting is the profession of Esav. And therefore hunting, he said, it's not a Jewish thing to go out and hunt. It's not a Jewish thing. Obviously fishing for fish that you could eat seems to be different. But the Night of Yehuda, so it's interesting that's the Aruch's Pshat. The Rashi says that it's just the name of a place.
Maybe you went hungry just to target practice.
You want to target practice, don't do it against living things. So anyway, so Rashi doesn't learn that way. Rashi says that there was a place called Lishkar Bazai. Also Sutton, the Sutton came, Vidamalei Ketavia, and appeared like a deer. So this fits in very good with the Aruch's Pshat. He's hunting deer. So Pasuk Begira Leimatya. He shot an arrow at the deer and didn't reach the deer. So Mashche, David pursued the deer. Ad the Amtiye Eretz Plishtim. And it pursued him and drew him. He got lost in the hunt. And it pursued him until he reached the land of the Philistines. The land of Yishbi Benaiv. Kedechazbe Yishbi Benaiv, when Yishbi Benaiv noticed him, Amar, he said, that's the one who killed Goliath, my brother. So he jumped David, Kafte, he bound him, and Kamte, and he bent him over, and Oisve Vishadya Tuse Bebadya. He put him in an olive press in order to crush him. However, his Avid Nisa, a miracle happened. Machale Ara Metuse, the land underneath David became soft, so he had a place in order to sink into, and he didn't get crushed. And Hainu Dechsiv Tarchiv Tzadi Tachtoi, you made wide my pace beneath me, V'loi Mo'adu Karsuloi, so that my ankles weren't displaced. So now he's not out of danger. He's still bound. Hahu Yuma Afanya de Mali Shapsahav. And that was Friday afternoon. Avishai ben Tzeruya, who was another mighty warrior on the side of David HaMelech, Avishai ben Tzeruya have a kochoyev reishe be'arba garvei demaya. He was shampooing his head with 4 saw of water. Chazinu kismei dama. He saw specks of blood. Ikidamrei. Asa yaina itrif kamei. A dove came and started acting strangely and banging its wings in front of him. So Avisha ben Tzeruya says this is a signal. Knesset Yisrael liyoina imsila. Klal Yisrael is compared to a dove. Shenemar kanfe yaina, the wings of a yaina nechafe b'kesef covered with silver. Shmami no, the head of Klal Yisrael, that David Malkut Yisrael b'tzarei shari, he's in trouble. Also the say, so David went, Avisha ben Tzeruya went to David's house. V'layashkeche, he wasn't there. Now, he had to get to David quickly. David had a very, very, very mighty stallion. And he also figured that David's stallion would also have a sense where its master is. Amar Tanan, it says, Ein Reichven al Susa, you can't ride his horse. You can't ride the horse of the king. Vein Yoshim Kisa, you can't sit on his throne. Vein Mishtamshim Mishavita, you can't use his scepter. What about B'shas Sakonamai? In a time of danger, could I ride his horse? Also, Shol Bey Midrasha, he went and asked in the base of Medrash, Amulei B'shas Sakona Shabadami. In a time of danger, you're allowed him. Rachvei Lepirde, he rode, it was not a horse, it was a mule, V'kamva Ozel, and Kaftzalei Ara. And he had Kfitzas Haderech, and Bahade de Kamaske, on the way, Chazia Orpa Ime. He saw Orpa, Yishbi Benayv's mother. Davis Novla, she was knitting. Ki chazite, when she saw him and she knew that he was an enemy of her son, paskasa lepilcha, she broke the thread from the knitting needle, and shadrasa ilve, and threw it at him to kill him. Savala mikle, she hoped to kill him, but it didn't hit him. Amalei, she said to him, Alam, I see li pelach. Young man, bring me back my needle. Paske bereish meicha, but he threw it at her head, v'katla, and killed her. Ki chazia Yishbei b'naiv, when Yishbei b'naiv saw Avishai ben Tzruya coming, he knew he was in trouble. He said he could deal with David, but to deal with David and Avishai at the same time, that would be very hard. I'm a hash to have him betrayed. The cutlery, they'll kill me. So he grabbed David, paske le David le'ela, he threw David up, v'datzlei l'rumche, and stuck his spear to impale him in the spear. Amar nepal alav v'nikta, let him fall on the spear, and he'll be impaled. Amar Avishai Shem, but Avishai said Hashem's name, Ukmal David ben Shmayel Ara, and held David suspended between heaven and earth. Says the Gemara, why did David have to wait for Avishai? David HaMelech knew the Shem of Hashem. The name of Ihu. So the Gemara says this is a rule, Ein Chavish Moitzi Atzma Beis Asurim. The one who is jailed can't get himself out of jail. Amalei, so Avishai said to David, my boy Isachar, what are you doing in the land of the Plishtim? Amalei, so David HaMelech already understood that it was the Satan that drew him there to fulfill what Hashem said, that either you or your children. Amalei, hachi amali kutcha berichu v'hachi adrolei. Hashem said it's either you should be the land delivered in the hands of the enemy, or your zerah should be destroyed. Amalei apich tzusech. Change your tefillah. Ask that you should be saved. So, because Barbara Kira Lisbon, let your grandson sell wax, v'atloi titztar. You should not be distressed. Chayecha kaidim. So Amalei ihachi sayabadan. So David HaMelech said, well, help me. Hainu d'chsiv v'yazer lo Avishai ben Tzruya. Avishai ben Tzruya assisted him. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav she'ozrei b'tefillah. He also davened. Amar Avishai Shem. So Avishai then said another name of Hashem, v'achzei, and caused David HaMelech to come down away from Yishbi B'naiv. Now, have a Karodif Basrayu. Yishbi B'naiv was chasing them. Kimata Kube, when they reached the town of Kube, which was on the border of Philistine, Israeli territory, Imre Kumbe, they said, you know what, let's take a stand against him. Kimata Beitrei, when they reached Beitrei, Amre, Kimata Beitrei, Amre, Betray Gurion Kadlu La'arya, could two young lion cubs kill a lion? We're not strong enough. Amrulay, they said to Yishbi Menaiv, Zil ishtakach la'arpach imach bekivra. Go and find Orpah, your mother, in our grave. We killed her. Ki atra shmad ime, when they mentioned the name of his mother and that they killed her, kacha shchele, he was distracted and he was weakened, v'katle, and they were able to kill him. Hainu d'chsiv, that is written, Oz nishbu anshe David loy leimar, the soldiers of David swore to him, saying, don't leave with us to battle, that the lamp of Israel shouldn't be extinguished. Now we said that Sanhedrin had kvitzas ader. Kan Rabbanan, shloisha kafzu lehem haaretz. Excuse me, not Sanhedrin. We said Avishai, when he was going to save David, he had Kvitzas Haderech. Eliezer Eved Avram, Yaakov Avinu, Avishai ben Tzruya. Avishai ben Tzruya Hadam, what we just learned, that he had Kvitzas Haderech when he was going to the Philistine land to rescue David. Eliezer Eved Avram, Dichsiv, V'ava hayoim el ha'oyin, and I came, mamish, today to the fountain. L'meimra dahu yumanofik, on the day that he left Canaan, he reached Aram on that day. A tremendous Kvitzas Haderech. Yaakov Avinu, Dichsiv vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva, Yaakov left Beersheva, vayelech Haran, and he came to Haran, V'ksiv vayivka b'makam, he bumped into the place, vayolam sham, and he slept there, kiva hashemesh, when the sun set. What happened is kimata l'charan, when he reached Haran, Amar efshar avarti al makom shestrali by avoisai, is it possible that I passed the place where my ancestors davened? In other words, I passed Beis El, vanilo yispalalti by, and I didn't pray there. Boy lemehader, he wanted to return there. Kevan the hero bedaite lemehader, as soon as he thought to return, kafzalei ara. He chanced on the place. Miyad vayivka b'makom. He met the place. He met it, meant it came suddenly. Davar achar, vayivka means he davened. It was at that juncture that he invented tfilas mariv. Ein pegia letfila shenema va'ata al tispalo b'adam hazeh. Don't pray for this nation. V'al tisa b'adam rina. Don't raise for them on their behalf song with tefillah, v'al tifkabi, and don't entreat me. So your yifka b'makom is he davened there and he instituted tefillas mariv. Vayolin sham kiva hashemesh, he dwelled there when the sun set. Basa ditzali, after he prayed, ba'ilam hadar, he wanted to return to Haran. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu tzadik zeh ba'al beis malayni, this righteous person came to my hotel. Yiftar below Yelina, should he leave without sleep? Don't forget already, Yaakov Avinu went 14 years in Shem Ve'eva without sleeping. Miyad ba Hashemesh, the sun set, v'ayna d'chsiv, v'yizrach lo Hashemesh, the sun rose for him. Now what do you mean the sun rose for him? The sun rose for the whole world. V'chi loy bilvad zarcha, v'aloy l'chol ha'olam kulay zarcha. It shined for the whole world. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Shemesh shebaba avuray, the sun that set for him, that he should stay in Beis El, zarcha ba'avuray, it shone for him too. In other words, that shows us that the sun set suddenly for him. Now, so there was a choice, either David should be killed or his seed should be wiped out. So now that David wasn't killed, now his seed should be wiped out. Umanolan the color Zari de David. How do we know that the descendants of David were killed? Where do we know this from? Dichsiv Asalyah, who was Aim Achazio, who was the mother of Chazio, Ra'asa Kimeis Bana, she saw that her child was dead. V'takem v'ta'abed es kol zera hamamlacha. She destroyed all the royal seed. Says, well, wait a minute. David HaMelech, the Davidic dynasty didn't die. Yair survived, and we know that we have a Melech HaMashiach. Says the Gemara, that's because in the destruction of Noiv, there was one survivor of Yasser. Hasamnami Ishtayer of Yasser, Dichsiv Yimali Ben Echad Lachimelech Ben Achitov, one child was escaped, was Shmai of Yasser. The Gemara tells us, thank God that Ev Yasser was spared. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav Ilmalei Loi Nishtayer Ev Yasser Lachimelech Ben Achitov. If Ev Yasser didn't survive, Loi Nishtayer Mizarah Shel David Sarah Paul, there wouldn't be left a refuge and a remnant from the offspring of David. Again, I want to say how wonderful it is that everybody is staying with us. I know it's late in the night, but wow. It's kedai to stay up a little bit for 2,494. You know, if it was the ninth inning of a World Series game, people would probably stay up, right? So if we're getting,
That's who's playing.
if it's getting 2,494 mitzvahs, I mean, even 2,000 mitzvahs wouldn't be bad. I mean, it's a remarkable amount of mitzvahs. It's remarkable. Now, those mitzvahs stay with us for eternity. And those mitzvahs, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. And also, I might add, those mitzvahs are shared with us by our wives. So you could tell them that. I stayed up tonight. 2,494 presents I'm bringing you. I'm Rabbi Yehuda.
Watching a hockey game.
I'm Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi say, I'm sorry that there's noise in the background. I can't. I'm trying to get, to get rid of the static. I know that Shimon Deer got me a new computer, and I'm just fiddling around with the filter. We'll get the noise out.
We'll have to get to the Marshall filter.
Now, no, it's just have to be martial law. I'm Rabbi Yehuda, I'm a Rav. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rav, I'm Rabbi Yehuda, I'm a Rav. Bo aleim Sanhedrin Daf. Now, Barry wanted to know numbers. Barry's a numbers man, and he wanted to know numbers. So, Bo aleim Sanhedrin Daf, ba'arbam v'chamisha elef ish b'nei malachim. He came against them with 45,000 royal men. Yoshvim b'krayna shelzah, 45,000 just in wagons of gold. They were so confident that v'iman shigloinais v'zoinais. Together with them were shegels, princesses, and harlots. They even brought the women. Ubishmainim elef gibayrim levushay shiryon klipa, 80,000 mighty people in mail, in coats of mail. Ubeshishim elef achuzei cherev ratzim lefanov, 60,000 soldiers holding swords running before him. Now that's the 185. Let's check that out. 45,000 plus 80,000 is 125, and 60. That's the 185,000. Va'ashar parashim, and then there was cavalry. And you should know, with this size of army, v'chein bo al Avram, so they came against Avram when he went to rescue Lot, v'chein asidim lavayim goygamagit, also goygamagit. B'masni satana, in a brayse, it gives us these incredible imagery. Oirech machaneu arba meis parseh. The length of his camp was 400 parsahs, which is 1,200 mil. Roichet Savar Susav, if you put the horses neck to neck, Arbon Parseh were 40 parsahs. In other words, 120 mil, just the thickness of the necks of the horses. Sach Machaneu, and here we have the incredible number. Sach Machaneu Masayim Vishishim Riboy Alafim Chaser Chad. 2,600,000,000 minus one. Minus one. Marshall wasn't there. Minus one. Baya. Minus one what? Chaser Chad Riboy, 1 myriad. Or Chaser Chad Alpha, 1,000. Or Chaser Mea, 100. Or Chaser Chad, or 1. So take it. Tishbi Atatz Kushis. Now, to me, that would make it sound like it's an exact number, because it's telling you minus one. The Maisa is, if you look in the footnotes over here in the art scroll, he brings down from the Ben Yoyada and the Maral. Ben Yoyada says that these numbers are not to be taken literally, and Maral also says the numbers are basic general concepts. So the according to at least some Mefarshim, it's not to be taken literally. But the fact that there's a taker over here means that we're going to ask Eliyahu. It seems to imply that it was literal. So this was, if this is true, it might have been the biggest military campaign in the history of the Jewish people against the Jewish people, against Chizkiyahu that didn't even have an army. 2,600,000,000 people. There were so many people that they had to cross the Yarden. So Tana Rishonim Avru B'Shechi. The first round of warriors crossed by swimming. Shenema v'cholaf b'Yehuda shataf v'ava. They swam. Since so many people swam, they ate up a lot of the river when they came out of the water. So Emtsayim Avru B'Kaima, the middle round of the battalion, crossed standing. They already didn't have to swim. Shenema ad savar yagir, reached till their necks. Achrayim, the last troops to cross, there was no water left. Hello afer b'ragleim, they brought up earth with their souls. V'loy matzah mayim, but no lishtais, they didn't have water. Ad sheviu mayim b'makam achar v'shasu, until they dug water from elsewhere. Shenema ani karti v'shasisi mayim, I had to dig to drink water. Now the question is, but we said it's 185. How could you say it's 2,600,000,000? Barry has out his calculator. 2,600,000,000 is a little bit more than 185,000. They were all dead. Saying. Those were the heads of the legions. Notice Hashem killed all the leaders. There will be amongst the fat, amongst the officers, poverty. Once you take out the leaders, so they fall apart. Hashem sent a malach. We're going to see this is Gabriel. Vayached, and he cut off kol gibor chayil. He cut off every mighty one, every warrior, v'nagid, every leader of Isar, and every officer, noble b'machane. Vayavay beis Elihav. Then Sancheriv, in humiliation and defeat, came back to his temple. Umiyitziei meyav, and from his own children, Shamhi Pilu Bacharav. We'll see that 2 of his children killed him. Shma Minah, that the troop of Sancheriv was much more than 185,000. So now the question is, with what did the Malach that night? With what did the Malach kill Sancheriv's army? Bamehikam. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer b'yad hikam, with the hand. Shenema v'yai Yisrael as a yad agdayla. At the Yam, the Yisrael saw as a yad agdayla, the big hand. That's a reference to the hand of that will be used against Sancheriv. Hayod she'asida lepara misancheriv, the hand that's destined to punish Sancheriv. They saw that already at the Yamsuf. Amazing thing. It's interesting because the Skolya Rebbe learns that v'yai Yisrael as a yad agdayla is reference to Bisya's hand that's stretched out to reach Moshe 400 amas, and that's the meaning. In Egypt, when they saw such a miracle happen, so they believed in Moshe. Rabbi Yeshua with a finger he smote them. That's the finger that will attack Sancheriv. He etzba she'asida lipara misancheriv. Rabbi Elazar ben Aisha, Rabbi Yisrael Glili, Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeGavriel. Hashem said to Gabriel, Magolcha netusha, is your sickle sharpened? It's already sharpened from the 6th day of creation, waiting to punish Sancheriv. They fled from the sword, from that which is sharpened. That was the time of the season when the fruits were beginning to ripen. And Hashem sends Gabriel to help the fruit ripen. When you go to ripen the fruit, Incidentally deal with them. Shenemar midei avru. As he passed, yikach eskem. He will take you. Ki baboker yaver bayayim balayla. In the morning he passed, day and night to ripen the fruits. V'hoyerak zva. This is just a terrifying thought. Havin Shmu, if somebody understands this, that Gabriel didn't even have to deal with the 6,800,000,000 people. What was 8,600,000,000 people? Just incidentally, on the way to deal with the fruit, he would take care of them. Others say, Gabriel blew in their nostrils and they died. He blew in them, when they dried out. Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Kapayim Sapkulem. Gabriel banged his hands together. V'meisu Shenema v'gamani eka kapi al kapi. I banged one hand against the other. Ani choisi chamasi, and my wrath came to rest. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka Amar. This is a famous pshat, that he allowed them to hear the shira of the angels, and that's how they died. Aznayim gilu lahem. He allowed them to hear V'shama shira mepi chayos, and they heard the celestial song of the Chayos HaKadosh, of the Sefer, what we say in davening, V'fanim v'Chayos HaKadosh, and they couldn't stand that holy wavelength. V'meisu Shenema me'romamu secha nafotzu goyim. From your heights you scattered the nation. B'kama nishtayim mehem. How many were left? Perhaps this means how many leaders were left. Rav Amar Asara, 10. Shenema Ushar Eitz Yarach, Ushar Eitz Yaroi, and the remaining trees of the forest, Mispar Yiyu, it will be a small number. V'nar Yichtavim, it will be a number that a child could write. Now, a child that learns the Aleph Beis, the easiest letter to write is a Yud, because a Yud is just a drop of ink. Kama nar yochel lichtov. What is a child able to write? Asara, a Yud. Others say that you teach him first an Aleph, and the beginning of the writing of the Aleph is the top Yud. So Yud is 10, so there were 10 left. Shmuel Amatisha, 9. Shinem Avanisha by Oleilos, like weak clusters of grapes. Benoikev Zayis, Shnaim Shloisha Gargarim Berosh Amir, like one who knocks on a olive tree, and 2 or 3 little clusters are left. Arba Chamisha B'Sifeh, 4 or 5 in its branches, so 4 and 5 is 9. B'Shur ben Levi Amir, if you add the 4 and the 5 to the 2 and the 3 by the olives, so that will give you 14. B'Shur ben Levi Amir Arba Aser. Shenama, we add to it the Shnayim Shloisha by the olives, and then the Arba Chamisha, the 4 and the 5 by the branches, so that will give you 14. Reb Yochanan Amar, Reb Yochanan says Chamisha, 5 were left. Sancherev Ushnei Banav, Sancherev and his 2 children, Nebuchadnezzar, who would cause us so much trouble, or Nevizradan, who would also cause us a lot of trouble. Nevizradan Gemara. Nevizradan is a Gemara that he survived. Nebuchadnezzar Dichsiv Revei di Rivi'ah, the form of the 4th one, Dama Labar Elohim, was like an angel. Now, where did Nebuchadnezzar see an angel that he should know what an angel looks like? If he didn't see Gabriel now, how would he know what an angel looks like? Sancherev Ushnei Banav, Sancherev and his 2 children, when Sancherev came back in defeat and humiliation, he bowed down in the church of Nisrach, his God, V'adar Melech v'Sharetzer Banav, and Adar Melech and Sharetzer, his children, who Kol B'Acherev, smote him with a sword and killed him. Okay, Rabbi said that's tonight's adventure. Not bad, 2,294 mitzvahs in an hour and 38 minutes. Can't top that for a hall for an hour and 38 minutes, but the night is not over yet because we're going to do now the Mishnah Yomis. So just wait till we set up the equipment. And again, Rabbi say we have so much more of this Gemara. It really is a crime that we're not bringing new faces. So everybody should work hard to bring in some new faces over here before we start Masechtas Makis and Yotz Hashem. And tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Also remember that if you want to sponsor this week's share, which very likely will be a Haggadah share, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. And now we'll learn the Mishnah Yomis.